The river and the sea were once one heart, but humans forgot the ocean. They fed it with dirt. They fed it with silence. And a forgotten God began to remember. Waves rose without wind. Rivers shook with fear. An ancient shadow stirred beneath the deep. Iyemoja cried. Olokun raged. Not because of war, but because of love. And when the covenant broke, water chose sides. The world almost drowned. What really happened between Iyemoja and Olokun? And what secret did their followers never know? Welcome to Ife Ancestral Folktales. This is Iyemoja versus Olokun. Long before the first village fire was lit, before the first drum awakened the night, before humans learned the names of the Orishas, there was water, only water. And in that endless water lived two divine beings who shaped the destiny of every river and every sea. Iyemoja, mother of flowing waters, soft, nurturing, the breath that brings life. Olokun, ruler of the deep oceans, powerful, mysterious, keeper of secrets too ancient for mortal tongues. They were not always rivals. Long ago, they were closer than the tide and the shore, two parts of one sacred flow. One held the memory of creation, the other held the memory of the unknown. And in the beginning, under the first moon that touched the newborn waters, they made a covenant, a secret promise only the two of them knew. It was a covenant of balance. You will guide the rivers, Olokun said, and you will guard the deep, Iyemoja answered. Our waters must never clash, because if they do, Iyemoja whispered, something older than both of us will rise. That something was Ayekun, the shadow beneath all waters, a force Olodumare locked away during creation, a force older than storms, a hunger older than the world. As long as Iyemoja and Olokun stayed in harmony, Ayekun slept. If the covenant ever broke, the shadow would awaken. And for centuries, everything was peaceful. Fishermen honored Olokun before casting their nets. Mothers prayed to Iyemoja before their children entered the world. Rivers flowed, oceans breathed, earth lived. But time changes humans. Humans forget, but gods never forget. Slowly, people drifted from the old ways. Iyemoja's festivals grew bigger. Children sang her songs. Rivers were cherished. But the ocean, the great, endless, hungry ocean, was forgotten. Fewer offerings were taken to the shore. Shrines to Olokun crumbled. His name stopped echoing in prayers. Instead of honor, humans brought something else. Dirt, waste, disrespect. Day after day, people came to the seashores with baskets filled with filth, broken pots, spoiled food, dirty rags, and the remains of ceremonies meant for other spirits. They dumped everything into the waves with careless hands. To them, the ocean was only a dumping place. They forgot that a god lived there. They forgot that spirits watch everything. And slowly, painfully, Olokun swallowed every insult, every basket of waste, every forgotten prayer, every disrespect. His ocean grew darker, heavier, angrier. Iyemoja watched silently, her heart aching. She knew the covenant was weakening, and she knew the deep sea does not forgive easily. Then, under a rare blue moon, a moon that appears only once every 1,000 seasons, a sign came. A young woman named Adesewa, devoted to both Iyemoja and Olokun, fell asleep by the river, and in her sleep the spirits opened a doorway. She saw Iyemoja standing by the riverbank, her blue wrapper shimmering like moving water. But Iyemoja was crying. Even the river trembled with each tear. "My child," Iyemoja whispered, "a storm is rising in the heart of the sea. Humans have forgotten Olokun. They have poisoned his home. They have broken the respect. And now, something ancient stirs." Before Adesewa could speak, the calm river darkened. A chilling wind cut through the night. The water rippled without reason. Then, a deep voice rose from beneath, a voice that carried the weight of forgotten centuries. "I have been dishonored. I have been fed with waste, and forgotten gods do not sleep forever." A shadow, massive, slow, ancient, moved under the water. Adesewa woke up screaming, but across Nigeria, the same thing happened. Fishermen saw the ocean rise in silence. Children woke up with water dripping from their eyelashes. Priestesses of Olokun heard thunder inside the river. Priestesses of Iyemoja heard thunder inside the river. Water was speaking, warning, remembering. The next morning, Adesewa rushed to the oldest Babalawa in her village. His eyes were dim, but his spirit saw clearly. He spread his opele, he shook his cowries. The oracle spoke with urgency. "The covenant is broken, and the secret Iyemoja and Olokun hid will rise today." Adesewa's voice cracked. "What secret?" The Babalawa inhaled slowly, as if the truth itself was heavy. The secret their followers were never meant to know. Before he could say more, the ground shook violently. Calabashes fell, birds scattered, drums rolled into the dust. The river in front of them rose straight into the air, tall, twisting, alive. It moved like a giant serpent of water. Villages screamed and ran. And from inside that rising water, a familiar thunderous voice roared, "Iyemoja, you broke the balance." It was Olokun. But before Adesewa could flee, another voice, soft but filled with ancient sorrow, answered. "Olokun, it was not betrayal. It was love." Love. That one word shattered Adesewa's heart. Love between Iyemoja and Olokun. Love that humans never knew. Love that shaped the first waters. But the moment she tried to understand it, everything changed. The river split open. The sky dimmed. The world held its breath. And from the deepest depth of the water dimension came a sound. A roar so old, the earth itself shivered. Aye-kun, the shadow beneath all waters, had awakened. The rivers trembled, the seas rumbled, and the first coastal village disappeared beneath the rising tide. The ancient covenant had broken, and the world had entered. The night Aye-kun awakened, the ocean did not rest. The waves rose like mountains. the rivers ran backward. Every shrine near water shook as if struck by an invisible fist. But deep beneath the roaring waters, past the coral forest and the sleeping spirits of drowned kingdoms, Olokun sat on his throne of shells and silence. His eyes glowed like two moons swallowed by the sea. His long braided hair floated around him like living serpents. And for the first time in many centuries, Olokun was angry, truly angry. The ocean floor trembled beneath his rage. Beside him stood thousands of water spirits, the Omiemi, the children of forgotten waves. Their bodies were made of swirling water. Their faces shifted like tides, and they were restless. "Our home is dirty," they cried. "Humans pour their filth into our bodies. They take from us, but they no longer give. Why should we protect them?" Olokun raised his hand, and silence fell like a heavy stone. He warned them, he said. "I watched as basket after basket of death entered my home. I waited. I endured, but humans have forgotten respect." The spirits bowed. "Then punish him, Baba Okun," they whispered. "Take back what belongs to you." But Olokun said nothing. His anger was deeper than destruction. It was the anger of someone hurt, someone forgotten. Far above, on the surface, Adesenwa and the Babalawo watched the river twist like a wounded python. The Babalawo held his staff tightly. "This is only the beginning," he murmured. "If Iyemoja does not calm him, the world will drown." Adesenwa felt fear crawl across her skin. "But why would Olokun blame her?" she asked. "She loves him, doesn't she?" The Babalawo sighed. Even love can break when honor is broken. Meanwhile, in the river realm, Iyemoja stood alone. Her wrapper clung to her like wet silk. Her flowing hair moved like a gentle tide. But her eyes carried the weight of a goddess who had watched humans forget the sea. She whispered into the wind, "Olokun, my heart, I never meant to hurt you." Her voice cracked. "When humans came to me, I thought they loved you too." She knelt beside the water and touched it gently, but the river recoiled as if afraid of its own mother. Iyemoja closed her eyes. A memory returned, a memory of the ancient covenant night. Olokun had stood beside her, their hands linked by moonlit water. They had promised balance, not only as deities, but as two spirits who once cared for each other beyond duty. The love was real, soft, sacred, unspoken. Now it was breaking. Back in the mortal world, strange things began to happen. Fishermen found fish floating dead at the surface, not eaten, not wounded, just lifeless. Riverside villages woke to find their wells filled with salty water. Some children claimed to see faces in puddles, blue, ancient, watching them. In one village, a young boy walked to the sea at dawn and saw the waves writing words on the sand. "Remember me." Before he could scream, the water snatched the words away. Rumors spread. Fear grew. Priests began to argue. Some blamed Iyemoja, some blamed Olokun, but none understood the truth. Only Adesenwa did. She remembered the dream, the tears, the warning drums beneath the river. So she gathered the villagers and spoke. "We have wounded the ocean. We have forgotten the deep. We have fed Olokun with debt instead of honor." The crowd murmured, "If we do not restore respect, the ocean will take back everything." Some listened, some mocked her, some ran away. But the sea heard her. And that night, as Adesenwa prayed beside the river, the water rose again. This time, it did not rise as a serpent. It rose as a shape, a figure, tall, majestic, moving like a living tide. It was Olokun. His face was carved with sorrow. His body glowed with deep sea light. His voice carried the weight of forgotten centuries. "Olokun, my heart, I never meant to hurt you." Ibadomi Wasimi said, "You let the feel of the human touch take the place of my love." "Olokun, I never meant to hurt you. Can you hear me?" Before Iyemoja could answer, a massive wave rose behind her, tall enough to swallow the sky. It rushed forward, straight toward the sacred coastline where thousands lived. Adesenwa screamed. The colossal wave surged toward the coastline, tall like a moving mountain, loud like 1,000 drums, ready to swallow everything in its path. Villagers screamed. Children clung to their mothers. Fishermen dropped their nets and ran. Some knelt and prayed. Some fainted. Some stood frozen, waiting for the end. But just before the wave reached the first hut, Iyemoja raised her hand. The wave trembled, shook violently, then collapsed into soft water, spilling harmlessly onto the sand. The people gasped. Some cried. Some called Iyemoja's name in gratitude. But Iyemoja didn't hear them. Her eyes were fixed on Olokun. He stood in the center of the sea, chest rising with fury, hair floating like storm clouds in the water. Ayekun towered behind him, dark, formless, full of hunger. Iyemoja stepped forward slowly. "Olokun," she whispered, "we are losing ourselves." Olokun's voice cracked like thunder. "They forgot me. They turned my home to a pit of dirt. They honored you and abandoned me." Iyemoja touched the water between them. The river and sea rippled together, trying to remember their old unity. "I never asked them to forget you," Iyemoja said. "Your pain is mine too." For a brief second, Olokun looked at her, not as a rival, not as a goddess, but as someone he once loved. But Ayekun roared, shaking the earth. The deep shadow swirled behind Olokun, whispering ancient poison into his spirit. "Let the world drown," the shadow hissed. "Let the waters rise. Let all who disrespected you pay." Olokun's face hardened. His anger returned. Adesewa, watching from the shore, screamed, "Olokun, this is not you!" But the sea swallowed her voice. Iyemoja takes a risk no goddess should take. The air grew thick. The sky dimmed. Ayekun began pulling water from rivers, lakes, and wells all over the land. Drought from one side, flood from the other. The world was tilting toward chaos. Iyemoja realized something. This battle was no longer just about forgotten honor. Something else was twisting Olokun's heart. Something ancient. Something jealous. Something that loved destruction. So Iyemoja did what no Orisha had done in ages. She stepped into the forbidden water gate, an ancient doorway hidden beneath the deepest part of her river. A shimmering vortex opened, swallowing her completely. Iyemoja found herself in a tunnel of blue flames and whispering waters. The walls glowed with ancient symbols, symbols older than language itself. She walked forward, barefoot, the water rising to her knees. Suddenly, ancestral spirits appeared, tall, glowing figures draped in white cloth. Their faces were indistinct, like ripples on water. They spoke in one voice. Iyemoja, you carry the tears of the world. She bowed. Help me, she pleaded. Olokun is drowning in bitterness. Ayekun has awakened, and humans have forgotten their respect. The ancestors formed a circle around her. What you fight is not only anger, it is corruption. Iyemoja's heart tightened. Corruption? From who? The waters stirred. A face formed in the darkness. A face Iyemoja knew. A jealous minor water spirit. One who once served Olokun. One who envied Iyemoja. One who whispered lies into Olokun's ear for centuries. The ancestors revealed its name. Okunkun Oru, the spirit of dark currents. A being that thrived on chaos and polluted waters. It had fed on all the dirt humans had thrown into the ocean, gaining strength, growing bold. And now, it was controlling Ayekun from within. Iyemoja's voice shook. So, Olokun is not my enemy. No. Your enemy is the darkness whispering behind him. Iyemoja collapsed to her knees. Tears mixed with the sacred waters. He will destroy the world because he thinks I abandoned him. A gentle hand touched her shoulder. An ancestor, glowing like morning light. Then remind him. Remind him of the covenant. Remind him of the love. Remind him of who you both were before humans forgot. Iyemoja arose, her spirit blazing like sunrise. But before she could leave, the water began to shake. A terrible roar tore through the cave. Ayekun had sensed her presence. The walls cracked. Spirits scattered. Iyemoja ran. The exit appeared ahead. A whirlpool swirling with blinding blue light. She dove into it. But as she escaped, she saw something horrifying. A massive glowing chain wrapped around Olokun's spirit. A chain held by Okunkun Oru, disguised in shadow, whispering like a lover, controlling Olokun's rage. Iyemoja gasped. So that is the truth. Back on the surface, Olokun rose from the sea. His eyes were darker than night. A monstrous wave spiraled behind him, bigger than the one before, bigger to erase an entire empire. He lifted his hand. The wave obeyed. Iyemoja burst out of the river at full speed, water swirling behind her like wings. "Olokun!" Her voice shook the sky. Olokun turned. Their eyes met. Iyemoja was breathing heavily, soaked, glowing with power. She shouted, "They lied to you. They corrupted your heart. Look at me. See the truth." For a moment, just a moment, Olokun blinked. The wave hesitated, but then a dark shadow wrapped around his neck like a chain. Okunkun Oru whispered in his ear, "Do not listen. She is your enemy." Olokun's eyes turned fully black, and the wave behind him rose even higher, taller than mountains, taller than clouds, taller than any wave ever seen. It began to fall toward the land, ready to end everything. Iyemoja screamed, "Olokun!" He raised his hand. Too late. The wave descended, and the world braced for destruction. The gigantic wave hung in the sky like a mountain of living water, frozen for a heartbeat, suspended between life and destruction. Villagers covered their heads, drums dropped from trembling hands, mothers pulled children close. Everybody believed the world would end in that moment. Then, boom! A shock of light burst from the river. Iyemoja rose into the air, glowing like a second sun. Her hair streamed behind her like silver rivers. Her wrapper turned into flowing water. Her eyes shone with deep, ancient love. She spread her arms wide. "Olokun, hear me!" The ocean trembled. Olokun stood atop the wave, majestic, furious, trapped. His eyes were dark as night, sealed by Okunkun Oru's corruption. Chains of shadow wrapped around him, whispering lies into his mind. "Drown them," the dark spirit hissed. "They forgot you." But Iyemoja stepped forward, fearless. "I never forgot you." Her voice cut through the sea like lightning. A hush fell across the ocean world. Even Ayekun paused. Olokun's eyes flickered, a tiny glimmer of the old hymn. Iyemoja took another step. Her voice softened. "Do you remember the first night we made the covenant? The moonlight on the water, the promise we made, not as gods, but as two spirits who cared for each other." Olokun blinked. His chest rose sharply. "Iyemoja!" He whispered her name like a memory he had lost. Iyemoja reached out her hand, not with power, not with force, but with love. "You were never forgotten, not by me." The wave trembled. The ocean paused. Even the wind stopped moving. Iyemoja's voice broke. "Humans forgot you, yes, but I didn't. I carried your name in every river. I carried your spirit in every flowing tide. I carried you in my heart." Something snapped. A chain of shadow around Olokun cracked. Crack! Dark energy shot into the sky. Okunkun Oru screamed, "Do not listen to her! Destroy them!" Iyemoja ignored the shadow. She stretched out her hand again, palms open, heart open, spirit open. Olokun, come back to yourself. And that was the moment. Olokun remembered the laughter they once shared, the nights they shaped the first waters, the covenant they made, the love that united river and sea. He remembered everything. Enraged, Okunkun Oru surged forward, trying to devour Iyemoja. Ayekun roared, its shadowy arms reaching for her. But Olokun lifted both hands. A storm of ocean light burst from his body. Shoom! The chains shattered. The corruption broke. The dark whispering spirit screamed as its power burned away. "Be gone," Olokun thundered. His voice shook the universe. Okunkun Oru dissolved into mist, like dirty water purified by the deepest tide. Ayekun shrank back, trembling in fear. Without corruption feeding it, the ancient shadow had no strength. Iyemoja and Olokun raised their hands together. River power plus ocean power equals one unstoppable wave of pure cleansing energy. Boom! Ayekun exploded into harmless droplets that rained gently across the ocean. The darkness was gone. Balance had returned. The giant wave that threatened the land collapsed, not as destruction, but as rain. Soft, healing rain. Cool droplets kissed every child, every mother, every elder, every river, every sea. People lifted their hands in relief. Some cried, some laughed, some knelt. They had witnessed the most powerful truth. Water destroys, water heals, but water belongs to both Iyemoja and Olokun. Iyemoja stepped close to Olokun. The ocean glowed around them as if celebrating. Olokun bowed his head. "Forgive me." Iyemoja placed a gentle hand on his cheek. "There is nothing to forgive. We are water. We are one." He lifted her hand and kissed it softly, a gesture older than mankind. The sea shimmered with light. The river hummed with joy. Their covenant, their bond, their love was restored. Olokun raised his voice to the villagers on the shore. His words rolled like thunder over calm waters. "Honor the ocean. Do not poison what gives you life." Iyemoja added gently, "Respect the rivers. Respect the sea. Respect the spirits that watch over you." Adesewa stepped forward and bowed deeply. "We understand now. We will never forget again." The villagers promised. The children learned. The priests rebuilt shrines for both deities. Offerings were made with love, not fear. And the waters, for the first time in generations, became calm, clear, bright, alive.
Long after the chaos ended, Adesewa asked the Babalawo, "Baba, what was the secret Iyemoja and Olokun kept from us?" He smiled quietly. That the river and the sea were once one heart. and even gods can hurt when they are forgotten. He looked toward the horizon where river met ocean. But love remembers. And that is how balance returned to the world. Not through battle, not through power, but through truth and love. The love that still flows between Iyemoja and Olokun. Thank you for walking with us through this ancient journey. If this story touched your spirit, please like, comment, subscribe, and share.